With Derrick and Rens, the first Dutch podcast about cannabis culture. My name is Derrick Bergman.
And my name is Rens Hoppenbrouwers. This episode is sponsored by Seed Stockers, affordable cannabis seeds for home growers, available at seedstockers.com.
We have a very special guest from Wallonia, the French-speaking part of Belgium, also known as Wallonia these days, in our high-tea podcast studio today. Flying Genetics, welcome to the show.
Thank you, everybody. Hello, and thanks for having me.
You're welcome. Nice having you. Really nice. We will be talking about your growing great cannabis, creating new strains like Butterfly OG and Tropi Lemon Z, and the lessons you have learned since you started out.
But first, we will discuss the biggest cannabis news stories from around the world in our news segments. We will give you an update on the Dutch weed experiment and on the German legalization law. And we have some promising news from Himachal Pradesh in India.
New York plans to give out 1,500 new cannabis licenses to sell the surplus that has been building up, and California is set to legalize cannabis cafes. And you can listen to our regular segments, What's in Your Joint Today, The Old Box, Listeners' Responses, and our Grow Corner.
This is High Tea with Derrick and Rens, episode 80.
Yes. Welcome, everybody.
80, I'd say it's another great number that we reached.
I never thought we could reach the 80, but now we did it. I'm really looking forward to reach the 100.
Congratulations for that.
Thank you. And without nice guests like you, we couldn't do it. So I think before we go into your story and about the news, we go to our first segment, What's in Your Joint?
Wat zit er in jouw joint vandaag?
And of course, we start with our guest, Flying. What's in your joint today?
Today I'm smoking a bit of an isolator from Tropi Lemon Z. Basically, it's the last strain we breed. So it's a cross of sour lemon Z and Tropicana grape cake. It's a collaboration we made with Original Genetics, that I know you already know.
Yeah.
And it's also a collaboration with Cubes that made the selection for the cut. So big shout out to him because it was a really, really good work he made for the selection. And we are really happy with the result from the cross.
Yeah, I can imagine.
Super fruity. We also have the wheat here, so it's a really, really nice. I think you rolled it up for what you were smoking today, Rens, isn't it?
Yes, I was so eager to ask him if I could also roll a little joint from it, because I was a big fan of it also, and because this strain also won a category of got a third prize, a shared third prize on the Homegrown Cup, and for that reason I'm also.
Big surprise coming up here.
We made an extra award because we had the first shared third prize.
Two growers came out third.
Yeah, so with the Tropi Lemon Z, got the isolator third place at the Homegrown Cup indoor this summer edition. So I'm going to give it to you. Congratulations, man.
Thank you very much.
And
congrats.
Yeah, I'm glad that I could finally give the award to you.
Thank you very much.
So
it's really cool because it's the first genetic we made that got awarded. So it's really a nice start to us. So thank you.
You're welcome. And thank you also for the nice smoke.
Always a pleasure.
Derrick.
Sharing is caring.
Yeah. Derrick, what did you roll?
I was lucky enough to have some weed gifted to me by one of our guests we had early on the show, Ricardo of Coffee Shop Anytime in Alkmaar. He was on episode 47, if you didn't listen to it, for the Dutch listeners, that is, because it is in Dutch.
And a lovely guy.
Lovely guy,
Really.
40 years experience, always has fantastic weed. And so the last time that we met, he gave me a little baggie, and it said OG 14. And he hadn't smoked it himself yet, and he said, but I do suspect that it's a really nice Kush variety.
Old school
And
stuff.
yeah, well, and I wonder what you think, Flying, because Rens, when he smelled it, he immediately said, yeah, well, the number is wrong, basically, you know? It's not 14.
I immediately smelled OG 18. And I thought,
that's this sort of a
I didn't even know.
incense kind of smell to it.
It's really good. Difficult to say.
What my guess is that it probably from the same growers, but just a different pheno from their thing, or new. But it's probably from the same guys.
Yeah.
And it's really nice. It's
And quite stoned. I did a little pre-test yesterday night, so I'm taking it a bit slow on this joint. But the flavor is really nice. Like I say, this sort of a groundy, earthy, almost incense-like smell and taste to me. So
is it? If it tastes as good as the number 18, then you're gonna have a really nice jar. Yeah, really nice. I want to try. I want to try a puff from it.
always, no problem, Rens.
Sorry, I was almost kidding myself. I say, let's go to the news. Yes, let's kick off the news section with the weed experiment here in the Netherlands. We have finally a starting date for the first phase in 2 cities, and Amsterdam East will be the most. Will be the one that will be joining also the cities.
Yeah, later
If
on.
I can explain it like that.
Now the date is 15th of December. That's a Friday, so like this year. And yeah, we've been waiting since 2017 basically for this to finally start happening. And we talk about it a lot on the show, of course, the Dutch weed experiment. To explain to the non-Dutch listeners, this is like the starting phase. They're not going to go with all the 10 cities that are taking part in the experiment, only 2, Breda and Tilburg. Both southern cities in our own home province of Brabant. Breda, it has 8 coffee shops, and Tilburg, it has 11 coffee shops. So it's quite a small first step within the experiment. But they're starting, and the original idea was to start with only 2 of the licensed growers being responsible for the weed that they're going to sell in these coffee shops in Breda and Tilburg. And now it seems like they go for 3. And one of the that we know for sure is already ready to go is Vita, of course, one of the licensed growers. And then I've heard some convincing stories that probably Kan Adelaar, the one that is backed by Bulldog founder Henk de Vries, will be the second one. And then remains to be seen if there will be a third one. I know that some people are pushing from the grower side to be like the third grower in this starting phase. But we'll see about that. It's interesting. We finally have this date with our own VOC Foundation. We are planning like to make it a real festive day. You know, maybe have some live music at these coffee shops. Because no matter how you look at it, and you can criticize the experiment on all kinds of aspects. But hey, we are making history here to finally have normally grown wheat in the coffee shops for the first time since 1976, basically. So yeah, I'd say it's good news.
Yeah, I think also I'm really looking forward. But I was wondering, like, Flying, did you read anything about it, or do people talk about it in Belgium, for example?
I still have the 15th of December right in my calendar.
Oh, wow.
To come to the first legal read in Holland. But in Belgium, people are not really aware of what's happening here.
Yeah.
So everybody thinks it's legal. Everybody thinks you can do whatever you want, and it's legal to grow.
That's true. Yeah.
But nobody understands really the system and the fact that you don't have any legal weed in the Holland for the moment.
Yeah. That's also what you see on the news articles about the wheat experiments, you know. And I saw like an English article about it, and there was like I think 80 or 85% of the reactions was like, huh? wasn't it
Was it
already
illegal already?
illegal?
Yeah,
What's
people can't
the
believe
fuck?
it. I really can't blame people that are not Dutch for not understanding
Even Dutch people
the system.
still
because
don't know it.
When you look from the outside, it looks legal. It's because the system from the inside is totally absurd. But from the outside, it's like, hey, it's legal. You can buy it on the shop. You can pay with your credit card.
people just assume that it be organized like properly. Like everything in the Netherlands is pretty much properly organized. But hey, not this as we know.
No, indeed, not yet. But yeah, I'm looking also. It's gonna be the weekend also from the outdoor cup.
Yeah, it's
So
brilliant. It's
I would like to
as if they timed it together with the homegrown cup for the winter edition.
They looked that up and 16. Let's do the 15 because all the growers then are in Tilburg and we can make a nice. But I would be cool if all those growers could also try out the first legal weed.
And please remember, people, if you want to visit on the 15th of December and buy this weed, do not go to Breda, because there's still the tourist ban there out of the two cities. But Tilburg is fine.
Yeah.
They quit the enforcement of the tourist ban. So you can go to Tilburg, visit any of these 11 coffee shops on December 15th or thereafter, and buy some still not 100% legally grown weed, but at least regulatedly
more legal weed.
grown clean weed.
And because that's the biggest joke. Like if you walk outside with that legal bought weed that is legal grown and transported legally, everything. When you walk outside with the packet, it's illegal again.
Still illegal to possess it.
Yeah.
So still only tolerated up to 5 grams. So the situation is the same as it is now. The police can still take it from you, and they are entitled to do it because it's still
they won't do
technically
it,
illegal.
of course, but technically
they can. And also
yeah.
at festival entrances, they do it a lot.
Yeah, that's
I know
also,
from experience.
Yep.
And do we already know about the quality that will come of this legal cannabis? If it will be like well grown by professional, or if it's more like
if you look at we have a pretty good insight I'd say into the 10 licensed growers. Rens of course is working, advising one of the 10 licensed growers, Kati, and I would say that roughly half of these companies will produce really, really good weed, and for the other half it remains to be seen. They had a lot of delays, they had a lot of trouble, getting a bank account, getting a location, resisting all the local criticism and trying to explain to these people we're not the mafia, we are just going to grow some weed here. So it's interesting. And also this first phase, from the start they said they wanted to have 10 cities, 10 licensed growers. That's the only way. But hey, the Vita company, the company that's the first one to be ready to produce, they had a very successful lobby to the local government and also to the national government of saying, let's start earlier in just these 2 cities. Why not? We're sitting on all this wheat. So yeah, good for them. And so my take on this has always been the underground growing, especially on a bit of a larger scale. It's the quality just suffers so much, because it has to be fast. You cannot dry good. All this. Absolutely. There's so many negative aspects about it, concerning the quality that the consumer gets in the end, that if you do have just a normal environment to do it and you don't have to fear the police, you got to be really, really stupid not to grow good weed, And I know, of course, Kati is not the only one who hired people really from inside, say the legacy part of the cannabis world, people who know their stuff. So I suspect that the quality is going to be good. And then the prices will be interesting. I talked to a few people recently and they really expect that there will be overcapacity, pretty much like...
Because they need to beat the price of the black market.
Yeah, and then that will be good, because if there's too much, then the prices will go down, and it will even be more of a success. But we have to wait and see. But for sure, I want to be in both cities, really, both in Breda and Tilburg on the 15th of December.
I work for Kati, of course, so I can't say too much about my concurrents or colleagues, I can say, but I have really good hopes in like more than half of them, because in what you said, like a lot of legacy growers are involved, and I see really some good things there, and I hear some good things. So if it all works out like this, and I don't know because I can't look in the packaging what's going over the counter, the 15. But if it's gonna work like that, it's gonna be, I think, a new, a new wave. Because, you see the wave of Cali, how booming it was, and it was overpriced. It was also a lot of, poisoned weed.
Yep.
And you see how popular that was, because the old tastes from the White Widow, the Amnesia Haze, it was a bit boring, I think, for the people.
Totally.
So I think with the new flavors from high quality, clean, for a nice price instead of for €30 a gram for Cali weed.
This to me is really might be even more interesting. The quality I trust, but the prices I have no clue what they're going to be, and this will be so. I think it will be a very determining factor in the end. And I do think some of the licensed growers also expect this, that there will be a lot of people going to these coffee shops because they are super curious, to see the difference.
Yeah,
so
it's a part of the history, as you said.
So it could be very busy, not only on that December 15th day, but I'd say the whole month, right until the new year.
We keep it. I'm sure we're going to talk about it. Let's.
Well, but to round it off about the experiment, Amsterdam East might be a bit confusing for listeners who don't know the city that well. Amsterdam East is they only have 10 coffee shops out of a total of 167 coffee shops in Amsterdam. So really, it's a tiny percentage of the total amount of coffee shops, and this also really goes into the original idea where they said we want to have the city. We cannot say within one city the one coffee shop has the regulated weed and the other coffee shop still has the old school illegal weed. Mm-hmm. But hey, they sort of changed that too. And now Amsterdam East, our government has now officially approved the idea of doing that. Amsterdam wants to do it. So it's basically now a formality where the parliament still has to, adapt a small change in the law for the experiment so that Amsterdam East can be part of it. And this will be a riot. So to be clear, this will not happen starting December 15th. This will take a lot longer. But if they go and start selling this regulated weed, this will be very interesting because we know that so many millions of people visit Amsterdam and want to go to the coffee shops. They will find out probably about, hey, there are only 10 out of 167 where you get this special weed.
Legal weed.
Yep. So,
in an ugly packaging.
Needless to say, these 10 coffee shop owners, they really look forward to selling this regulated weed.
I bet. All right. What I wanted to say is, it would be cool if we could have some packaging at our podcast and we could try them live and we could give them our opinion.
Good idea.
We keep that in mind.
I will be there anyway, so I'll buy some weed, Rens. Don't worry.
Okay. Our big neighbor to the east, Germany, is on the road to legalization, but it's no easy ride. The latest news is that an attempt by the conservative state Bavaria to stop legalization has failed.
Yeah, that was great news in a way, and it was like on you could see it through the internet live to vote. They didn't hardly got any votes for it. Tried to stop, to make a sort of a pause in the whole legalization process, and so it didn't happen. And there was another attempt also in the German Bundesrat, because that's the parliament of the federative states. And then the Bundestag is like the normal parliament that's in Berlin, and that's the national parliament. So there was also an attempt to say the Bundesrat needs to approve this, otherwise it can't go any further. This attempt also failed. So two big attacks on the idea from Bavaria, which is like known the world over for its beer and for its Oktoberfest and that whole hard drug scene over there. So I was happy to see that they didn't succeed in sabotaging the attempt. And then some other Bundesrat members, they had some criticism and had some extra additions to the law that they would want to see. And this is what will happen now. The pillar 1 legalization, they divided it into 2 pillars, you can say. And the first one legalizes possession of up to 25 grams for adults, home growing of up to 3 plants per adult, and non-commercial cannabis clubs with no more than 500 members. And so the government will respond now to the comments made by the Bundesrat and send the bill to the Bundestag, which is the national parliament. Mm-hmm. And it could be implemented in the first half of 2024, but that would be really fast. I really don't expect myself that they will be able to do that. Although it's, of course, easier than setting up the whole system with shops and whatever. Because we know, you can see it in the German media every single day, literally. The cannabis social clubs, they are like mushrooms, you know. Any city in Germany, they now have cannabis social club ready to go when the law is signed, and they can go for it. And of course, the German activists, one of the rules that's still in the proposal now is that you, within the cannabis club, you are not allowed to consume cannabis, which of course makes no sense whatsoever, you know. It's like the heart of the idea. That's why it's called social club. And so it still remains to be seen if the members of the Bundestag, so the national parliament, will succeed in changing the law proposal for the better, where they could say, okay, you are allowed to smoke inside because you're 21 and you're a member, and in Spain they can just consume, of course, inside. So this, we'll keep on following this, and it's moving slowly, but it's moving in the right direction.
Yep. It's an unstoppable train, I think.
Yeah.
I don't want to talk about trains and Germany too much. Sorry, guys. Some promising news from India. What's the story, Derrick?
Yeah, it was an article in the Times of India on October 1st. Headlined, Himachal eyes pot of gold under grass. Yeah, in India they also can make, you know, the cliche puns on pot of gold and grass and all that. But the rest was better than the headline, and explains how the cannabis plant has been part of life in India, and especially in the higher provinces, of course, like Himachal Pradesh, until it was banned in 1985. So a lot more recent than most countries. And the reporter Rohit Malik writes, now, as the world wakes up to cannabis's benefits, the state could legalize its cultivation soon. And the state government of Himachal Pradesh presented a resolution to legalize, and after that, in April of this year, and after that a panel was formed to explore the possibilities. And this panel sent its report to the State Assembly on September 22nd. And this report describes legalization as a game changer for the state. And of course, within Himachal Pradesh state is the village of Malana in the Kulu district. And the reporter writes that this has become synonymous with quality charas sold as Malana cream. Illegally, of course. And he goes on to write, prices will fall if cannabis cultivation is legalized, but village Pradhan Rajuram, so it's one of like the village elders, is all for it. And this man is quoted as saying, even if the money is less, the people of Malana will shift to legal cannabis farming. Nobody wants to live in constant fear of the law. And if the government buys the crop, most of the people here would opt for it. Especially that last sentiment, I think, is very true, really, for any cannabis grower, whether he is indeed in Belgium or in Spain or in the Netherlands. You like it better if you don't have to have that constant fear of the police when you're trying to just grow good cannabis, you know. And indeed, Malana, I had the privilege and pleasure to smoke some Malana cream every now and then. It's fantastic black hashies. And the idea, of course, in the law proposal, it's first about industrial hemp and medicinal cannabis. But hey, we know where we're going with that. And if they could have the legal market for Malana cream, I'm buying, man.
Yeah, we need to do like the big worldwide legalization.
Yeah.
And free market for the cannabis product.
Yeah, and I think really these politicians, like the ones also quoted in this story, they really understand this and the opportunity of it. Indeed, a game changer, you know. These are not really very rich provinces or states of India. And if they can have this economic benefit,
absolutely. Even if you go to Morocco,
great.
and you see the farm in Morocco, it's the same. It's a small producer that produce really good hash, but it's not on a. You cannot find it on a legal market, and that's a big trouble because if the product is not on the market, the customer cannot get it.
Yeah.
So you need to regulate all the.
Yeah.
All the
Well, you can
producers.
get it. You can get it illegally. And
Yeah.
that also means in this instance, I'd say Morocco and India as well, that for the people who work hardest at the crop, they get the least amount of money for it. You know, the money is made elsewhere in, say, this chain. And if we could get that right, if we legalize worldwide, it'd be even better.
Fair trade hashish. I
Hell
always
yeah.
hope for it, for sure. All right. Finally, the final two stories from the USA. One from the East Coast and the other one from the West Coast. New York wants to give out 1,500 new licenses for cannabis retailers.
Yeah, it's been
that's cool.
A bit of a shit show in New York with the legalization process. Yeah, they did legalize, but up until now they have no more than about 20 licensed dispensaries for the whole state of New York, which is of course insane. And so you get like gray area operators that are selling cannabis. The police now is sort of going after them. But what you get is that they have a lot of licensed growers that produce a lot of cannabis, and they are sitting on it now because there's only 24 shops, you know, that they can sell it through. So now the official regulator sort of recognizes this problem, and this is where the 1,500 licenses come from. Bloomberg reports, cannabis growers have been sitting on excess marijuana as the state's tally of legal retailers stands at about 24. And the director of policy for the Office of Cannabis Management, a guy called John Kajia, referred to the dynamic as market asymmetry. And across the supply chain, they're gonna give out these 1,500 new licenses. Just before we started recording, I saw via Twitter that indeed the process to get one of these 1,500 licenses has officially started. So they are doing it. And to me, that's interesting because I'll be leaving for the United States and stay there over 2 weeks, going to New York. So I want these shops to open.
I know.
So I can visit them and buy some weed there.
I saw you do a lot of the registrations, blah, blah, blah. You're applying for a license.
I have also a visa. I have the whole thing. Maybe I won't come back, Rens.
The Derrick smoke shop. I would see it. I would love to see it.
The Big Apple.
We go over to the West Coast for our final news story. California is set to legalize Amsterdam-style cannabis cafes.
Yeah, it was a
Cafes.
big news story. A lot of the bigger media they also had a story on this news. The assembly member that made the law proposal, Assembly Bill 374, is a guy called Matt Haney. He's a Democrat from San Francisco. And he is quoted as saying in the CBS News report, we put the link, of course, in the show notes after the show. This guy, Matt Haney, says, lots of people want to enjoy legal cannabis in the company of others. And many people want to do that while sipping coffee, eating a scone, or listening to music. There's absolutely no good reason from an economic, health, or safety standpoint that the state should make that illegal. Don't we all agree on that?
300%.
Yeah.
And then he goes on to say, I thought this was quite funny too. To be clear, we are not saying that coffee shops should be allowed to sell cannabis. We are saying that cannabis shops should be allowed to sell coffee. It shouldn't be illegal for an existing cannabis business to move away from only selling marijuana and instead have the opportunity to grow and create jobs by offering coffee or live jazz, which I thought was a bit, I don't know.
It's a problem solver. It's also what they need in New York because I heard there's a lot of problems with the smell on every street on every corner, for example. If you could make some cafes or whatever, coffee shops where they can sit inside without making any problem for others,
And this could move fast.
Like in Barcelona.
Exactly.
If you walk through
Yeah.
Barcelona, you don't even smell cannabis. You don't know
It's true,
of
hardly
people
ever.
smoking cannabis. But the culture is there. You can
You
if
can
look
find
to
it.
the right place.
Yeah, if you want it, if you're looking
And
for
it's
it.
really a clean setup, I think.
That's
you don't
definitely.
have to be in
yeah.
contact with it if you don't want to.
Yeah, it's a great example of how you can really keep it like that, I'd say.
So indeed, better not watch to Amsterdam, but better watch to Barcelona.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then the report closes by saying that the parliament, the local parliament, has voted for this plan of California, and it now only needs to be signed by the governor, and then it would go into effect on January 1st, 2024. So that's very soon.
Nice. It's really cool.
Amsterdam style. I thought that was a bit of a It's an honor.
I love to have, in general, some good news segment. I had a lot of weeks we had some bad
It's true.
news, but
You should only focus on good news in the show, in the podcast.
yeah, we're trying, but we try to also be realistic, and sometimes.
Yeah, so we're not going to talk about Thailand today. We did so on our
last.
on the Dutch podcast on number 79 that we recorded with a live audience at High Times coffee shop here in Eindhoven. So there's not any real more news to bring about Thailand. We still have to wait and see whether, as we say in Dutch, the soup will be eaten as hot as it has been served up.
Amen. All right, let's wrap up the news and let's get a little bit closer to our guest of today, Flying Genetics. And to start off the interview, and go sit down really tight, because we always like to start the interview to ask our guest a bit anonymously, but where they grown up, how their youth was, and where they got their first connection or start with cannabis.
So I'm born in Belgium. My first connection with cannabis, I was like 12 years old. I remember I was like passing by the bedroom of my older sister, and I saw on the corner like she left a little bag with a bit of weed, like 0.2, something like just a few pieces. I don't even know if she remembered that the bag was on the table. And I remember I see the bag, I take the bag, and I call my friend like, "Hey guys, I read. Let's meet tomorrow. We will smoke weed."
You recognize it
in my
already
head I was like,
at that age. Okay.
Oh, okay. Yeah. And so the next day we meet up with all my friends from this time before school, and we try to roll the joint, but nobody really know how to roll at this time. And I remember that I used my library card.
Library,
Mhm.
But it was made out of plastic to make the tip for the joint. Yeah, so at the end we
creative.
Yeah. Nobody know really how to smoke, so nobody really inhaled the smoke from the joint.
Mm-hmm.
So it was just like burning a big torch of weed and tobacco and stuff like that. And then we all went back to school. And a few days after that, we got snitched by other student, and we had some little trouble with it.
Already for the very first failed attempt.
First years of high school. Yeah. I should have avoided that.
But was it for you already like an eye opener, or was you already
No.
more interested?
As I said, this time nobody really know how to smoke, so I didn't have any effect from smoking it.
Yeah.
So I just like, okay. The first time I really got the effect from it was with my sister. I smoked with her and one of her friend. It was like one years after maybe. And it's the first time I really felt the effect from the cannabis. And I was like, okay,
This is what it's about.
Okay, I'm chill. I think I'm chill. Yeah. So it was really funny, and then I went to bed like straight after, I think. And it was the first connection, and then we start smoking with friends like at 14, 15. But where I come from, we only have like amnesia.
Yeah.
Like everybody grow amnesia. It's easy to grow. So all the big grow you will find in Belgium, it's made of amnesia cause it's the most easy. So for years and years and years, we was only smoking amnesia. And it's only like the first time we went to Amsterdam, that we went to coffee shop and we tried a lot of strain. Like I remember the AK-47, the Big Buddha cheese, the Super Silver Haze, and I was like, okay,
let's zoom in a bit more into this, because I think that's also relatable maybe for our listeners too. Was this like a big thing that you're saying, okay, the moment I'm 18, I want to go straight to Amsterdam, or
yeah, but
what kind of experience
to be 18
was it?
to go to Amsterdam, because we was a bit too impatient, so we went with his older friend to go for us in the coffee shop.
Okay, so you stayed just outside.
Yeah,
and,
the first time,
we
we had to do that. But still, we had the weed from the coffee shop, and the experience was like 10 miles away from what we used to have in Belgium.
And did you go like to a lot of different coffee shops and buy the different weed there, or just buy a lot of different weed at one coffee shop?
No, the first time we went through like maybe 15 coffee shops.
Wow. Oh. And did you research like beforehand, or did you just go wherever you could find them, or did you research before you went, sort of?
Nothing. We just went and we followed the smell and was like, okay, this is a coffee. Yeah, it was really basic. It was like, okay, this is a coffee shop. Okay, let's go. So the older friend went, he bought the weed and he was coming out, and then it was the next coffee shop, and until we have no money. Which it was really like the first time that I understand that cannabis was really something more than just amnesia. And it was like, okay, at this point I was making a big step in the comprehension of cannabis, because just right after this trip I started making research on it. I was like, okay, so why was it so good? Because when I came back to Belgium, the only weed I could buy was like A's again. So I was like, okay, we need to find a solution. Yeah. And I didn't have enough money to go to Holland every weekend or stuff like that. And it was not, I was still young. So I decided to make my own cannabis, because I was reading on a forum, and the solution was like, if you want the best cannabis, you need to do it yourself. Yeah. And it's still true today.
Yeah, I would say. Even in the Netherlands too.
But did you get inspired by forums, or what made you like, let's try it myself?
Actually, I was in my room, and I remember my sister bringing from Amsterdam a big catalog. I'm not sure, but I think it was one from the Strain Hunter. Big shout out to Strain Hunter. It's like, we can talk of them after, because it's like really big pioneer for me, and it's like they are making a real necessary work in this industry to preserve and to keep all the genetic intact, and all the work with the land race. So it's really really a big work. And so she had this big catalog with like 35 strain. I don't remember. Sorry, 5 to 7.
Nice pictures.
Yeah. And we went to the catalog. We like, okay, and we picked one.
Which one? Remember?
It was some cheese crossed with something, but I don't remember. And I tried to find, but I never. I already tried to do the research to find which one was it. It was impossible to find. So some cheese with something, but I don't know.
I think for me, because it's very distinctive, the very first strain that I ever grew was when a magazine in the Netherlands, I think it must have been Just High Life. They worked together with Sandy Seeds. This was in like the early 90s. And they put free seeds, with every magazine. And it was Early Girl, with the idea of, it's still the Netherlands. You need an early flowering variety, otherwise it'll go wrong. Mm-hmm. So that must be the first strain I ever did. But it didn't come out well, I can say.
How did it go with you the first time?
Did it work immediately? It couldn't have, I would say. Or
the first time I buy like the eco lamp, and I put it straight in my room, like with no grow tent, nothing, just the light and the plant under.
And that's a LED light, right?
Yeah. Yeah. No, not LED, eco light. So Eco-light. I don't remember.
Oh, okay. So it's like in between.
Yeah, we don't use it anymore. But it's like a bit lighter than HPS.
Okay.
So I just put the light in my room with the plant, and it went not that good, but for a first time, not that bad neither. Okay. I wish I could smoke the weed today to really be able to be objective on it, but I remember that I smoked it and it was good.
And there's also, of course, this I would say psychological effect. If you grow it yourself, you're gonna like it a bit more.
Yeah, absolutely. And you have all the process.
It's your baby.
You have to be patient. You watch it every day, so you.
Did you give it enough time to dry? remember? Or were you like
The first time, probably not.
Yeah.
The first time, I
That's
think
what
like
happens.
everybody, you just
you
go
stick
on
it
the
in the
nuts,
oven or whatever
smoke
you
it
do.
fresh on the first day.
Yeah.
Every day you need to try out how it works.
Yeah, for science, you know.
Yeah.
For
No, but
science, yeah.
it's a funny thing that you talked about strain hunters, because when I stepped into the cannabis industry, I googled first also cannabis Netherlands, and I arrived at this gentleman. But I also watched a lot of YouTube, and I found the videos of strain hunters.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's millions of views
And
around
it
the world.
was for me like, oh wow, you know, these guys really made a passion and made a work, a life job about it, to search for genetics, and you know that made a lot of I said impressed me a lot.
What's so
it was
interesting about that,
impossible.
I would say, is that they clearly were inspired by the generation above them, people like Ed Rosenthal that they met at the High Times Cup in Amsterdam, these real OG guys that had to fight but were also super passionate and growing, Cervantes, these people. And then it's nice to see how like the younger generation uses different methods, like these YouTube videos and the Strain Hunter series, instead of say the books that Rosenthal and Cervantes wrote, and still get like the knowledge across and also share the passion, so that people, younger people even can be inspired by, you know, Arjen and Franco back in time, to say, hey, this is more than, you know, drinking a beer or just some hobby.
Yeah.
This can really be a life's mission or passion.
Yeah. But did it also made it
Yeah, absolutely.
for you?
And I remember watching like all the Strain Hunter movie, because at this time it was also, and still today, it's the only kind of content you can find on YouTube or online with people really going on the field.
Yeah.
It's the only team that
It's amazing, that
made
it's
this
that
happen.
there's
So
still not
really,
even on
Yes.
Netflix, or you would expect by now that some bigger producers or networks or whatever make this kind of content, but
Yeah, and I do think without Franco it's not the same anymore. I watched, for example, the last one is from Congo.
yeah,
Also?
Africa,
yeah, South Africa.
yeah.
Was a bit for me a little bit lost. Yeah, I don't know why, but it was not. It was maybe a bit too professional. It was the last of the previous one. They were pretty raw, and they just took the camera almost and they just go. And now it was a bit too much Netflix way,
Okay,
to be honest.
I haven't seen the last episode, I must say.
But
Yeah,
No.
it's a bit more modern on the way it's filmed. You know, they use drone and stuff like that. But I still think like they are really close to the people, and we still feel the.
And drone
I
shots,
don't know.
that should be good, of course. If you got
They
fields
make
of
also,
wheat.
of course, they make wonderful
It's fantastic.
videos for sure. That's for sure.
But I want also the BBC to do it with their signature quality, and there's so many stories to tell, and so many fascinating people also to talk to, and you know, there's for these kinds of media, they are. But I do have this strong feeling that we're getting closer to that moment where you will see these kinds of productions on Netflix, and you know, I just hope that they will not mix cannabis like with reality show bullshit type programs, you know.
Yeah.
But maybe they will.
And speaking about the Strain Hunters team, I had the chance to make an internship with the Greenhouse team in Amsterdam.
Oh wow!
So that was also really like a really nice experience, and it really helped me to have like a more sharp view on the industry, and really more understand the industry side of it. also.
How did it go? How did you start with it?
I spent 1 month with them to see a bit all the feeding production and all the seeds production and the packaging and all the stuff like that. So yeah, it was really interesting and really professionalizing.
Yeah, I can
So,
imagine.
So, it was
So did
really,
you sort of
really-
hope to end up working for Greenhouse, or did you think all along, I might want to do my own
Actually,
show?
it was just an internship.
Uh-huh.
And no, actually, I'm just starting flying genetics and stuff like that. So always open to work with people like that.
Yeah.
Because it's really people that I think are making interesting stuff and needed stuff with the cannabis and the world. So it's always a pleasure. But for the moment, I'm focusing on flying and stuff like that. I used to work for people, but for the moment I don't want to work for people anymore.
Yeah.
That's good. That's good. But first, let's of course talk about those things. But first, get back to your your youth steps. Of
Your second grow.
Your second, but more like when you start growing. Did you already start quickly with finding, for example, cuts, or did you already started with seeds and?
No, the first time it was with seeds, and I grew from seeds for at least 4 to 5 years.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And you were always like searching for the new seeds and.
Yeah, and at this time I didn't even had the intelligence to make keeper from the plant. So I was just popping the seeds and smoking the weed and popping the next seed and smoking the weed.
And every time, oh, this was good. Oh,
Yeah.
this was good. Ah, shit, I lost it now. Yeah. And then, was it like an early stage already that you thought, how would it be if I could make my own strains? Or was it all early in that stage?
Yeah, it was at the beginning, kind of joke. When you are a small teenager and you're like, yeah, we smoke weed with friends, and you're like, yeah, one day I'm gonna make my own weed, and I'm going to have my own coffee shop and stuff like that. So it's always at the beginning it's always a joke, and then when one day you realize that you can do it for sure, and it's not that complicated if you take the time to go to the information and to make your research.
Yeah, but then this interests me. I would say that the vast majority of all home growers, they don't get to that stage where they say, okay, I've grown my weed and I learn how to do it, and I never have to buy weed if I don't want to. But now I'll go, start breeding and try to make something new. So was there like any people or any kind of a thing of information that you got that you think, hey, if it's that easy, I'll try it, or how should we understand that?
It's a mix of stuff. I was also watching the Homegrown Cup, by example, on Instagram for a long time, and I was also following the people in Europe making a new strain and new stuff, and the cannabis industry even in America.
Mm-hmm.
And that inspired me. I was like, I want to do the same. I want to try. So yeah, one day I was like, growing is good, but I want to try something else. So I decided to start a first breeding project instead of just growing seeds.
And how did you go about doing it? Did you like plan it out ahead and make a whole schedule, or?
Yeah, absolutely. So the first step was like to select the 2 strain that I wanted to cross, and then make the small calendar. So you have the first month, the second month, and you can organize yourself. And then it took a bit of time, because like when you want to cross something, it's at least between 1.5 and 2 years of work.
Yeah.
So yeah, but
But you knew this sort of beforehand. If I will try to do this now, but I only get a result maybe in 2 years.
Oh yeah, I know. when I start, I was like, okay, I know I will be in need of patience, and that it will take time. But
Well,
if you, I don't know.
What were your things you were selecting on when you were searching for those 2 first genetics?
So the first hunt I made for the genetics, it was on the skull cap from Karma Genetics. It's still on research and development for the moment. And I had some buttermilk biscuit and from the Homegrown Cup.
Yeah.
So actually, I was planning the first breeding project with the skull cap, and I was also hunting on the headbanger. And then
Lovely one.
Yeah, especially for hash. And then after the first homegrown I made, when I won the 3rd place for the dry sift, I still had the cut from the buttermilk. So I was like, okay, if it's a cup winner cut, let's put it in the crossroom. So, and I've read in every book that you are not supposed to breed with a feminized seed. But you need sometimes to go out of the line to
Why
do
is
stuff.
that? Why do they say that?
Because you don't have the same strength in the genetic with feminized seeds, because it's not a real female actually. You have to
That is something we also are curious about. Like, how is that? Like,
It's a real moment. I would say.
No, but it's like
So how to make films at sea?
no,
But also
more.
how it affects, like
Yeah.
you say, the potency and the strength of the plant.
Like I was always wondering how could you, or is there a difference if you make seeds from regulars or from fem? Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
But the male and the female will give different characteristic
Mhm.
to the children, and so it's the same with the plant. And when you cross with feminine Z, you don't use a real male. So all the information that is supposed to come from the male, like the vigor, the strength, some resistance, you don't have it from the male. It's only from a fake male that it's come from actually the female
Yeah.
that you reversed. So you lose a bit for the strength, for the vigor, and also for the stability, because
It is
you have-
higher potential because that's indeed one of the question of our listeners' responses. That if a fem is higher to rate for hermaphrodite.
Hermaphrodite.
yeah, absolutely. Also because of that.
Okay, so yeah, it's
But
it's
still, you
stable.
thought, fuck it, I use it anyway.
Absolutely. So I use it, but I didn't release the seeds. I just keep it for myself, and I'm working now on the F2 to release it for not having any trouble with also hermaphrodite and stuff like that.
So you breed it back to the mother.
No, F2.
Of-
So with in the first generation, I select a male and a female, and I cross them together to make the F2.
Okay. Yeah, this sometimes for me too. It's too. I'm just too stupid for it.
Complicated.
Yeah, I'm too stupid for it.
Now, what always interests me and what I don't really understand, I think, is how to get these new strains stable and when to know now that they're like say stable enough, because I don't think they are ever 100% stable.
You just need to pop the seeds and to see how many variation you have when you pop 100 seeds. And if you have too many variation in the shape, in the terpene, in everything, it's not stable enough. If you can see it with your eye. You just pop the seeds. You have all the plant the same size, all the plant the same order, the same color. Then it's stable.
And say if you don't, you just pick out of these 100 the ones that have the characteristics that you want to have.
What do you mean?
And start breeding with these, selecting
if it's
these.
not stable, for
If
example.
it's not stable yet.
Yeah, stable. It depends also what we mean by stable. What percentage we take on stable.
So that you can reliably expect if you grow out a seed what it will be like. Not that there'll be huge difference in phenotypes.
Like in good condition, 97%.
Yeah. But you don't get that from crossing the male and the female and then you having these seeds. You need more time to do it.
To stabilize the strain. Yeah, absolutely. So, but depending on which trait you want to have in the cross, in the strain, you will just select male and female that have this kind of trait and cross them together.
Yeah.
So the first time you take the male, the female, and you cross it, you have the F1. And if you take one male and one female from the F1 and you cross it together, it makes the F2. And the more you go in the F1,
So the
F2,
children have sex from
absolutely.
yeah, okay.
and so the more you cross them together,
Then you can
the
understand
more you will
the
have
process.
Something
It's typical,
stable,
right?
because you always came with the characteristic that you want, and so at the end, if you only add the characteristic that you want, add the characteristic that you want with an order that you want. If you do it enough time, and that you find a good balance, because you also have like recessive trait, dominant, codominant, and different way the ADN and the different genotype can match. So when you pass through that, you can find a good stability.
Yeah.
But I know some people that made like F18, I think. So they cross 18 times the children together to have really something really stable. But that's really something I think it's really rare to see in the industry. Something someone.
Don't you
doing
need like
this far.
also enormous space to be on that
Absolutely.
scale? Yeah.
But F1 is also really good, by example, if you are doing breeding and that you are looking for more variation in the same strain. So if you are looking to hunt in something, F1 is good, because if you pop a 50 seed, you will have more variation in the 50 that you will have in the F2, by example. So depending also on what you use the seeds for and what is your purpose, it's not the same.
Yeah, super interesting. And besides crossing genetics, you also started to make your own hashish at some point.
Absolutely.
How did that? How was the? Can you explain? Can you take us with your first time, maybe?
My first time making hashish was with one of my friend. It was some dry sift actually. He was like, "What are you making with your trim?"
Yeah.
Like, bro,
Classic.
Throw it away.
For the moment, nothing. Maybe we can do some. At the time, we was making
Make some butter.
Yeah, absolutely.
A space cake.
Marrakesh butter.
It's the easiest.
And he was like, "Bring me your stuff. We will make hash." And so he had like the 120 micron screen.
Mm-hmm.
We just put all the stuff on it, like traditional Moroccan stuff.
Yeah, very old school.
And the old school.
No
way. We
isolate
just,
or nothing.
Start tapping the flower through the screen, and we collect a few grams of kiff. And it was my first time. I was like, okay, now I can make hash.
Did you press it at all, or just smoke it like
this
that?
time we only smoke it like that. Yeah. Like.
Those things are amazing. If you can work like this, you can make on every aspect. You can. You can
Absolutely.
You can.
And I think it's also a great way to sort of learn if you start learning by doing that, like the most basic old school method of making hash, and then from then on proceed to other techniques.
And it's also one of the, depending on what you like to smoke, but for me dry sift, when you smoke by example with tobacco, it's the best hash you can have instead of isolator.
But of course you shouldn't smoke with the tobacco, of course.
We're not allowed to say the T word here anymore.
No, but we're in the tolerance zone. You can smoke tobacco and weed, or tobacco and dry sift, or whatever here in the studio.
At some point, you started to use greenhouse feeding.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Actually, it was while watching the Homegrown Instagram page.
So we are guilty as charged.
Yeah, bro, you sent me in the right direction.
Oh shit! No, but we heard a lot of really good stories about greenhouse feeding. Could you tell us? I don't want to make any promotion video for them, but they're nice people. Really, they're nice people. But it's not staged or something. But I'm really curious, like how your experiences with them.
So the first time I've seen people growing with it, it was Ojinaj. At this time, I didn't know him, but I was watching on Instagram. And I was looking for the product the people was using. And I was like, okay, it just won the cup. So the production of the terpene should be really
bad.
Good.
Yeah.
What is this guy using? And so I checked. I found a greenhouse feeding the bioline, and I started using it. And it's really easy to use, and you have really, really good result, especially for the resin production and terpene production. Like when you smoke something like that's organic grow, you can directly see the difference between something that's mineral or that's not.
Because you always grow on soil, or?
Yeah,
okay.
Absolutely.
And always indoors?
No, I made a few plants outdoor too.
Okay.
But in Belgium, if you do even feminized seeds, with the weather we have, it's too
fragile.
Yeah, the summer is too short,
so
you don't have enough sun, and at the end you have too many humidity in the air. So all the Belgian people who struggle with the mold.
Yeah, like all the Dutch people too. Like
I
myself also struggle, but you can do it. You can do it.
I do it, and I get a bit.
Yeah, you invest more time. You move your plants indoor. You harvest by branch rather than the whole plant. Those kinds of.
If you want to do it, you can.
You can do it. Yeah, but
for sure.
Of course, I understand what you mean. Indoors, it's a whole different. It's a whole different story.
Actually,
of course,
if I could only do outdoors, I would love to do only outdoors. Instead.
Really?
Yeah.
Interesting.
Yeah. Being able.
But glass house or real outdoor? Because as you say, that's in the low countries, so to speak. It's.
We can do both.
Yeah. True.
I like the idea of the hybrid. Greenhouse. So you have the benefit from the sun from outside. If it's not enough, you can add some.
It's exactly what James Burton always said.
But you can control the environment, and once you have the DPV under control, the quality will just pop. And
you can do it automatically. Like when the light intensity just goes under the certain level, then immediately your extra lighting will go on, and it's Yeah, it's a real good system. Also energy-wise, and then if you have the solar panels for the energy that you do use, I would agree. It's almost the best way to grow wheat.
Green wheat.
Yeah.
Yeah, nice.
We'll also get that, not to dive into that more, but a few of the licensed growers in the wheat experiment, they have this system, the glass house.
Right, it's the best. Actually, if you want to produce high quality cannabis, it's the best because you have the climate under control, and you also have the best light than that the sun can provide.
Yeah, this is why I'm such an outspoken outdoor lover. Because
and if you have a good soil on the bottom, it's okay.
It's gonna be super interesting how they're gonna do it.
Yeah, because now we will know for sure. We will know for 100% this was grown in a glass house and this was grown fully indoor facility, and then you can make your own. You make your own mind up about it.
Maybe also people have their own taste. Like, I prefer one from the outdoor in the glass in this way.
Because was this for you at any time a real choice, whether to grow on soil or to grow on other stuff?
But actually, when you look at how the plants grow at the beginning, it's in the soil. So my reflection was directly to go in the soil and to do the same stuff that it's happening in the nature. And, I never went to cocoa to Lende Roche, to rockwood and stuff like that. Directly to soil, because if you want to produce once again high quality cannabis, you need to do it in an organic way, and it's mainly with the soil.
Yeah,
I would agree.
I also have to agree, but we are gonna grow on rockwool with the experiment, so we're gonna see the difference. Also, I think the 6 or so or 7 of the 10 goes on rockwool, and the rest go on earth.
And one of the things is, of course, that there will be rigorous testing for all kinds of fungus and whatever, and that will be harder.
That's the most interesting part for me, is because also we applied for the license years ago with the old group, and we did a research for the measurement, for the how you say, the laboratory measurement about the quality of the wheat, and if we would grow on earth and on
just natural soil,
soil, then we couldn't go to the checkup, or I say that we didn't. So our wheat would get cancelled because of the goods.
Yeah, because it's organic.
Because of it's organic. So that's why also we choosing to go.
Yeah, if you want to be safe in the experiment, I can understand why you would grow on rockwool.
Yeah, but
I would still want to buy the wheat grown on soil.
Yeah, I hope everybody will also do an experiment to go also on soil. But I'm watching really interesting with interesting eyes to those companies.
What I was wondering about flying. So we talk about how you basically do all this stuff. You grow, you make new strains, you make hashies and different techniques. Isn't there a part of you that's like wanting to really specialize and say, I want to be 100% hash maker, I'm going to do only this, only that? Or how do you feel about that?
I think it's my main choice will go through the genetics, creation of genetics, of new hybrid and new strain, if you are lucky enough. And I will always do hash because it's always a nice passion, a nice hobby to have. But I think if I want to specialize in something, it will more be the genetics. For the moment, I need to do a little bit of everything. But I would love to specialize in that more than...
It's interesting how you say that, how you make the distinction between the hybrid and the strain.
Yeah.
Please expand.
Like a strain for me is like really like a big pool in the cannabis. Like the Amnesia Haze, it's a strain. The Gelato, it's a strain. The Skittles, it's a strain. The OG Kush, it's a strain. Tropi Lemon Z, it's more an hybrid. Because it's not really bringing something new to the markets. It's bringing something balance between two new terpenes. So it's new, but it's not innovative. You already taste this kind of stuff, but maybe not in the same balance of the terpene. So it's new, but it's not brand new. Like when the first time when you smoke the Skittles, you are like, what is this? This is like brand new. So for me, and I think like hybrid is more like all the new cross that everybody is making, like crossing A with B and like this. And the strain for me is more something like more permanent and more with more. I don't know exactly how to say, but
more distinctive,
Yeah.
more distinction.
Yeah.
Apart from all the other cannabis that's on the market.
It sounds
Super
really
interesting.
humble. For me, it sounds super humble because I think also, of course, your strains are hybrids, but I'm sure like one of these, what you're gonna make will be like the Skittles, be a real strain
We
that
try.
people recognize.
I'm trying.
You know,
that's the.
Yeah.
I think everybody that is breeding for the moment, nobody knows what's going to be the next big wave, the next big terp, the next big. The next
big
you know?
terp, yeah, it's
because
very
you know,
interesting.
it's like a lottery ticket almost. Like you know, in every seat there could be like a
And
diamond.
also, maybe your own preferences. Like if you are the one that choose the mother and the father of a new hybrid. Yeah, what are you gonna choose? So how do you do it? if you are going for, do you sort of make up in your mind, this could possibly be a very good combination, so let's try that? Or is it like these are very hot, or these are very different, so that might be interesting? What kind of a process would it be?
For the moment, I have to limit myself because I cannot do too much need for the moment. But the process for me begin by the taste. So it's like, okay, we can maybe add this maybe sour note to something with more candy note. Like I used to sometimes mix two weeds together to see how it's going, and sometimes you can really have big surprise. Like okay, like a new kind of a new color. You know, you mix a lot of color together, and at the end, like, oh, what is this? And so sometimes it's a good way to do it too. But for me, like it's begin with the taste. Like what kind of taste do you want, and how will you get it, and what kind of taste can you not find it, and what kind of taste are you willing to find. So it's for me mainly the taste and the imagination of what can we make with it.
Of course, you make some collaborations with other breeders like OJ Nash. Can you explain a bit how that works, and how you also not get into arguments saying, I brought this and you brought that and now it's this and that?
So actually, it was like a really organic collaboration. It happened a bit like that. Like we were smoking a joint of sour lemon Z, and I was like, damn bro, it's really a hitter. And he was like, I finished working with it, all the genetic side, so if you want, I can give you a cut and we can do something with it. And so a few months after he passed me the cut, I was at this time selecting the Tropicana grape cake from Fidel. I was looking for a male, and so it matched with the time. So we put it in the same room with this one, and the Tropic Lemon Z went out. And once again, I love to do business the same way I grow it, like organically. You know, kind of symbiosis. Everybody brings something, but nobody take too much. And it's like, you know, if you are two, we are two, and if you are three, we are three.
Yep.
It's like just like the symbiosis.
I really appreciate OJ Nice a lot. It's funny. I thought already that you were maybe like friends from high school or something that you were, because I saw you also a lot of events you were together, so I always thought you were like brothers. But it's really cool. Like
Belgium is big.
Yeah,
not that big.
How is the Belgium cannabis culture? And the second question is, and it was also from a listener, is like about the cannabis. The Belgian, is there like a difference between the Wallonian part and the Flemish part?
So for the first question, like the cannabis culture in Belgium is really, really good. We have we call it like the 420 community or cannabis community, and we have plenty of people in it. Like you have many of people that want to be involved with cannabis, but not specially growing weed. So we have people that are making edible You have people working with the glass to make glass accessories. You have people that only want to grow. People only want to wash, and we have plenty of passionate people about cannabis in Belgium, and we all know pretty much each other. It's not a big country, and we. Yeah.
But if you
big shout out also to the Belgian community, because it's really, really good to see so many people giving the right direction to the movement.
Yeah, because from an activist point of view, I also get some like Belgian friends and Belgian activists saying on the political level, it's totally awful in Belgium.
Yeah. We have nobody in Belgium to really, on a political way, push it. You have a few politicians that are saying that they want to legalize.
But they are like the French-speaking ones, is my idea. Like the Flemish ones, like Bart de Wever, the mayor of Antwerp, he's very much a drug warrior.
Absolutely.
And if you do hear politicians from Belgium argue for legalizations, it's always from Wallonia.
The mayor from Brussels say he wants to legalize and he wants to do it.
Yeah, indeed. The mayor of Brussels himself, when he was asked by a Dutch newspaper, I love that. The Dutch reporter sort of asked, so that means, do you want to have coffee shops then in Brussels? And the mayor says, the sooner the better. I would really love it. And that'd be great. And he's smart, of course, because you don't want dealers on the streets,
The market is already everywhere. Like if you go in every country in Europe, even if it's not legal, you can buy weed in every aspect, like the weed, the hash, the cartridge, the edible, the infused tea, everything.
Because I was thinking about that earlier flying when you said, okay, I sort of thought I could grow it. Was it at any time a factor or in your head saying, this is illegal, I could get in trouble? Or was it more any other reasons for that?
What do you mean? Like,
did that cross your mind? Like, maybe I shouldn't do it because I could get busted? Or was it more like practical, do I have a space to do this in or whatever?
I think when you are doing it in a country where it's not legal, you always ask yourself, is it not too risky? But growing cannabis is also politic. Like everything you do is a bit of politics. So I know that my country does not allow to grow weed, but I do it because I know it's a good stuff to do, that we don't hurt any people, and that's at the end that's something that the world really need. And if we can change the way people look on cannabis, and even not the fact that you can smoke it and get high with it, but more the construction aspect, the ecological aspect, the way that you can clean the ground, clean the air, and really all the magical that you can find in the hemp and in the cannabis. It's you need to educate the people.
Yeah, and you're doing something good.
Yeah. So I know it's not legal.
So it was more like not so much the risk of getting caught, but more if I do get caught, I think it's for a very good purpose and it's not a crime.
Yeah, and we need to do it. We need to do it because if nobody do it, it's not gonna move. And I will not drop names because I'm not sure it's a good idea, but I know people that have that breed some really great strain that got trouble with the police. The police kill like almost all of their work, so more than 5 years of the work. The guy managed to save some stuff, and finally the same stuff that he managed to save and the Belgian state tried to kill will be today like in the Canada for like medical patients and stuff like that.
Oh wow.
So when you need to fight for it, and it's stupid to see the Belgian state fighting people like us when they just need to take the opportunity we are giving them.
Yeah, of course.
Bro, we are making this, use it. Please.
Yeah.
Just it's not legal, but we need to do it.
Mm-hmm.
It's also for me a funny thing to see that, like, not a funny, but a thing to see that, like, the activism is a little bit going down, but it's like the people are just doing it.
Yeah.
They're not like
we are not waiting anymore.
Yeah, we're not. People are tired of waiting, and they see like brands are building up, and you see that people also now here, all the growers are building up their own CV. Because they see there's a future.
Of course.
The market is...
When I first heard that term, Wallonia, I thought it was fantastic. What a great way, to look into the future and capture this with just one word. It's great because, there could be there is a bright future if they could only so they see it like the Belgian politicians. But have you like ever considered moving elsewhere, say to Spain or to some country where it's easier to grow?
I'm always looking for a better place to do it, for a place where I can do it in a legal condition, legal way. It's always looking for Spain, looking for Holland, looking for Switzerland, looking for plenty of places.
Yeah,
but it takes time to find the right spot and to take a decision to make it. So for the moment, I'm making my own research about it.
Yeah, 100% legacy. Huh?
Yeah, really cool. And the last question about the future. What do you see yourself? Do you see yourself making indeed flying genetics a big thing, or maybe you see you're stepping in one of the experiment companies that you're doing the research or something for it? What are your big plans, or maybe plans for new genetics for 2024?
For the new genetics, I have like 6 to 7 projects on the way. We have the Femin Z line from the Tropic Lemon Z that will be ready for, I hope, cannabis if everything is going well.
Oh, cool.
And a few other projects, but that I will keep a surprise for you.
No, please. That's totally okay. But we see you in Spannabis for sure, shining with some.
I will be there.
Yeah, that's really cool. That's really cool. I say we go to the old box. Derrick, in our history segment, Derrick always brings a nice story, and he brings us back in time with a nice story. What did you bring us this time, Derrick?
I dove into the High Times Encyclopedia of Recreational Drugs. It's like quite a legendary book, big book, published in 1978, first version, when High Times magazine only existed for about 4 years. The book has 418 pages, which sort of proves how old it is, before 420 became a thing, before the Waldos even started smoking at 420. And in this fragment, we're going back to the middle 19th century. And I like the style, and also, you learn a bit from this fragment, I'd say. Cannabis extract entered the US pharmacopoeia in 1850. Within a decade, doctors were handing it out liberally, and the younger generation began to turn on. Vying with Tilden's Cannabis Indica in popularity was Gunja-Walla Company Hashish Candy, a most pleasurable and harmless stimulant, advertised in newspapers. Mordecai Cubitt Cook, whose writings inspired the hookah-smoking caterpillar in Alice in Wonderland, observed that chewing bang with betel, which is a kind of nut that's used a lot also in Africa and in India, was coming into vogue in America in 1860. Young America is beginning to use the bang, so popular among the Hindus, though in rather a different manner. For young Jonathan must in some sort be an original. It is not a drink, but a mixture of bruised hemp tops and the powder of the betel, rolled up like a quid of tobacco. It turns the lips and gums of a deep red, and if indulged in largely, produces violent intoxication. Lager beer and schnapps will give way, for bang and red lips instead of red noses becomes the style. And then he goes on to describe that in the Turkish Bazaar at the 1876 Centennial Exposition in Philadelphia, proudly featured hash smoking. And H.H. Kane in 1883 described a hashish house in New York that would be the envy of any doper today. Swirling gold dragon chandeliers cast a light show over men and women in diaphanous gowns, eating majun, smoking ganja, and drinking coca leaf tea while reclining on plush divans surrounded by oriental carpets and tapestries. Such parlors could be found in New Orleans, Boston, Philadelphia, and Chicago, but none so elegant as this. So this was 1883, where you already had these coffee shops, Amsterdam-style cannabis cafes in these American cities.
Thank you, Derrick. Yes, normally we would go to the listeners' responses, but I've chosen to mix the questions we had from our listeners into the interview. So what we want to do is to after this episode we're gonna put all the names in a little lottery. How you say that? We pick one, and we send them a nice prize package. Included some really nice
Tropilemon Z seeds, a pack of 12 regular seeds.
All right,
Boom.
that's really cool. So it's gonna come with a nice photo book and some nice merchandise also from Flying Genetics. So really cool. Thank you so much for doing it.
A few of our iconic High Tea podcast stickers will be included in the prize package.
Yes, and for upcoming episodes, if you have any question, any suggestion, any guest, anything, send us a message or send us an email to info@highteapodcast, and podcast spelled with a T.
.nl.
And or send something in the comments or send us a DM on Instagram. It will come to us. It's high time for our final segment, the High Tea Podcast Kweekhoekje.
Het High Tea Podcast Kweekhoekje.
The home grow segment for the English listeners.
It's Croptober. It has been for 2 days, I think, or 3. No, already 4. And well, in this the neck of the woods, right here in Eindhoven, the weather is still really quite nice. It's a bit colder today, but we've been having like 24, 25 degrees and sunny weather, which is a real Indian summer. Or oude wijvenzomer, as we say in Dutch. The old hags summer. And we talked about this before, just now, flying, how it's very, very hard if you grow, especially modern strains outdoor, either in Belgium or in the Netherlands, because the mold will hit you at some point sooner or later. But if the weather stays like this, it'd be fine. Could you, for our listeners that are growing outdoors, because you do have some experience, of course, with that, would you have some special tips or advice for people for this time of year?
For this time of the year, if you are greenhouse and indoor, you can add a lot of ventilation to try to break the humidity as you can.
Yep.
And then the best advice I could give is make hash with it.
Yes.
Make more hash. If you have to harvest too early, for example, is that for hash? Is that a big problem? Or?
No, it's even better for hash. Depending on what you want, but if you want to have like a clear hash and then press it to have a hash rosin, and a clear product, you can cut your plant a bit more sooner than when it's just for smoking the flower. So you have still the trichome pretty clear, so the final product is also more clear than when you already have the trichome that are a bit more brown.
And
so for the hash, you can cut more soon.
Yeah. Oh, that's good to know, I'd say, because, indeed, for outdoor growers every day.
So less trouble with the mold and more hash for you.
That's it. You have to ask yourself this question.
Smoke more hash.
Am I going to finish this plant today, or am I going to leave it one more day, so that it can blossom a bit more? So, that's certainly some good advice there. I would say that's another thing. Every grower has a different opinion. Are you like a wet trimmer or a dry trimmer?
Dry, for sure.
Yeah?
Yeah. Because when you do, for me actually, when you do it wet, you have also a lot of trouble with all the chlorophyll that when you cut the leaf, actually, even if you don't see it, you have a little bit of chlorophyll that will go out the leaf and just stick all around the bud, and you cannot take this chlorophyll off your bud. It's not the same when it's still in the leaf and you have to dry it and cure it. When it's outside the leaf and it's grown your bud, you cannot really take off this taste after. And
So
for me
harvest
it's-
your plants and just take nothing off, leave it to dry.
Yeah.
And
you
then
cut your plant,
cut.
you hang it on the other side for 10 to 15 days.
Mhm.
17 degree, 60% humidity, and should be good.
Those are the real good tips for our listeners, of course. Eh?
Yeah, it's good to hear. But indeed, it's October, so for every listeners that are having plans in the garden,
Happy harvest.
happy harvest, good luck.
Yeah, good luck with that.
And good luck with the mold also and all those things. And I hope you can enjoy it in a few months, of in a month, I think.
Today,
when it's dry,
October
cured.
4, all my plants are still on my balcony. So
And-
it's good. Let's hope that this Indian summer carries on.
And keep a bit for the winter edition for the homegrown.
Yes, 16 December. We're gonna
Just
announce
after
it.
the
Yeah, so I
the
also
first legal
try
meeting.
to host a little smokers party at the grass company or something for the people there we can try it legal weed as well. But news of more information about that will come. Yes, that is the end of episode 80 of the High Tea podcast. I really want to thank Flying Genetics for coming over to Eindhoven.
It was a big pleasure. Thanks a lot for having me, and I apologize for my English. Next time will be better.
Oh, well,
Don't worry about it, don't
because
worry.
my English, because of your isolator, it's sorry for all the
Me too.
listeners for my English.
I think it's maybe the isolator.
I hope you made it till the end. And
Thanks for sharing all your tips and your experiences in cannabis land with us. And thanks also, of course, to the sponsor of this episode, number 80, which was Seed Stockers, affordable cannabis seeds for home growers, available at seedstockers.com.
yes, thank you for listening. And you can help us grow the High Tea podcast by hitting the like button, subscribing, and telling your friends about the show.
And for all our Dutch listeners, you are very welcome at the High Tea Podcast live at High Times Recordings. There will be 3 more on Sunday, October 15, Sunday, November 19, and Sunday, January 21, 2024 at the High Times Coffee Shop in Eindhoven. There will be free tea, scones, sandwiches, cake and other goodies, and recording will start at 3 on all these Sunday afternoons. Check out our website
And
for more
and
details.
please in mind, it's a silent podcast, so everyone can enjoy with the headset on.
Yep.
And
We have free headsets for
and
everybody.
Don't worry, there will be no video or anything, so everyone can sit there in private and anonymously. Thank you so much, Derrick. Thank you so
Thank you,
much,
Lance.
Simon.
Till the next one.
En alle luisteraars, houdoe.
Houdoe.
Bye bye.
What is